All right. What's up? What is up? Where are the glue sticks? Bought some glue sticks, didn't I? Oh yeah, I did. Okay, cool. All right. What is going on? Let's turn this down, Jerry. Leave it playing for a sec while I get set up. I hope everyone's doing well. All right. Starting up on, this is like our old streaming time at like 7:30. But I hope everyone's doing well. What do you call it? It's not a super long stream tonight. We're just going to be whipping up a couple of albie flies. But we're going to be tying some fun stuff. I think we're going to break out the hot glue gun. I got some new hot glue sticks. I want to test these out. I used to get Ace Hardware Store high temp, and they were crystal clear. These are like a milky color, which I'm not a fan of, but it's really hard for me to find like high quality, high temperature, crystal clear glue sticks for the Albie hose. But this is high low temp too. But what I want to do is, I've tied with them before. It's not the worst, but I do want to tie some of these and just like stick them in the sun all day and just see if they melt up. And I'm gonna go fishing this weekend, so I want to see. I want to tie some Albie hose. So I think we're gonna be using the hot glue gun. I'm also running really low in resin because I just tied 75 jumbo sand eel candies, which was like 5 coats a piece between different resins because it was bucktail candy and it's always notorious to get a clean coat. But I dropped those off today and stuff. And my good friend Rev, what do you call it? I moved some stuff around, so I'm in the process. My room's a little messy, but I'll show you. I got a bunch of free space over here now, which there wasn't. You can't see from the microphone, but I have a 4x4. Let me see if I can't really show you guys. But I have a 4x4 table that I use for all the wargaming stuff. And we've been meaning to upgrade it to a 6x6. And my buddy built me a 4x4 that has hinges that we can fold up to turn into a 6x4. So instead of a 4x4. So tonight what I need to do is I need to like move half of my room around and make a bunch of room. But I didn't want to miss the stream. I was like, do I postpone it? Because I got a bunch of... Tomorrow morning what we're going to do is we're going to go Home Depot, get some lumber, and build the top of the table. And build the table upstairs. But, and I also use that for other stuff too. But it's nice. I have some more room now. I took some stuff out and moved some stuff around. So I'm just in the process of like reorganizing my entire room. But that being said, the Albies are here. We caught our first albie. So I'll wait till a little bit later when we get some folks in here. But we'll take a look at the Discord. I got some cool photos. Got my first albie in a couple years. So that was awesome. Didn't get any footage because my buddy called me. And I had to wake up and like drive to the rocks, essentially. But... I did some filming the other day, and it was super rough out. I actually got some really cool footage, even though there wasn't Albies. But essentially, I'm going to be working on a couple of different videos for False Albacore coming out in the near future on the YouTube channel. But anyways, I'm going to grab the hot glue gun, and let's start tying some Albie whores. I also need a cup of water, so just give me one sec. This paint water should be okay. This is what I use to clean my brush for painting miniatures, but that should be alright. It's not that dirty. And this is my old hot glue gun, but it still works. Technically. I'll grab the new one. I'll grab the new one. Hooks going everywhere. So I used to have an old hardware store one, but now I got a Sure Bonder. Unfortunately, I lost the bracket, so that's not the best, but they make a fine tip one. I'll plug that in. I'll put it on hot temp. That's low temp. We'll keep it on hot temp. They make a fine tip one. This one is kind of a larger tip, but I use this not only for fly time, but I also use it for a ton of craft stuff as well. Like that log cabin I built and showed you guys on stream. Alright, so this is heating up. We got to give this a sec to heat up. Normally it would have a stand, right? And you kind of sit like this, but unfortunately I lost this. So, RIP. It's just going to sit on the desk. Now, traditionally, like I said, there was an Ace hardware store brand that I used, and it was crystal clear. If you see these are the Surebond, and this is the mini glue stick size. Glue sticks, let me turn down my voice. My voice was a little loud there. Glue sticks generally come in two different sizes. This is like the smaller size glue stick. Now, it's clear, but the only problem is you can see it's kind of like almost got a milky color to it, right? It's not crystal clear. And even then, the Ace hardware store stuff, I mean, it was pretty damn clear. You can go look back at some of my older Albie Ho videos. But so what I need to do, and this is where I ask you folks, I should probably see, and anyone that watches this stream and later on, leave a comment if you know where to get high temp glue sticks that are clear. And I'm talking about clear, because this is sold as clear. You know what I mean? And it technically is, but I mean, if you look at it, it's really not. You can't even see the vise through it, so. And the downside is that you kind of get a milky head to the fly, as opposed to like a nice crystal clear one when you have your eyes in there, but that's all right. It heats up pretty quick, though. Now, ideally, I always went with high temp because I figured the higher the temp, the less of the chance of like the fly melting, right? But I don't even know how big of a deal that is, to be honest with you. Now, what I'm going to do is, I got some size 1 odds. We're going to tie the classic Albie Ho. And I'm calling it that because YouTube doesn't like the name, so. And I got a bunch of random white feathers, or a bunch of random feathers in general. Which I should probably go through these and organize them. But I'm going to grab some smaller feathers, like this size, that we can use. I do have tan as well. I could use some tan, but I kind of like the all-white version of this fly. It's just like an attractor fly almost. And they've been eating snappers. So we should probably try and get something snapper colored, like blue. Like a very bluish, kind of silvery color. In fact, let's see if we can look up a photo of juvenile snappers. Juvenile. This is showing, so we'll go juvenile bluefish. Because, yeah. Here we go. So these are what we call snappers up in at least Long Island. I don't know. I'm pretty certain they call them, maybe if any Massachusetts or Maine folks. If you guys have any ideas? Because I know, like, for instance, striped bass is called rockfish down to Maryland, for instance. But, so juvenile bluefish, we call them snappers. And there's something called a snapper popper. It's a classic orange and white popper with a little rubber tube on the end, trolled behind it. And they're generally like this size, right? Like this size. And when they get to be a pound, we start calling them bluefish. Even though they are bluefish, we just call them snappers. Because they just snap at things. But this is even big. I would say, where was the photo? I just saw it. This right here. This is the size of the bait that we're seeing, where it's probably about 2 to 3 inch snappers or bluefish, juvenile bluefish. And this is what the Albies were eating the other day. So, what's going on, Frankenstein Ape? How you doing? So, what I think we should do is try and imitate that. So actually, let me see. Now, we could just totally use white. The other option is using blue Astaz, which I think is... Oh, that's really the trick, I think. Yeah, use some blue Astaz and keep it with the white. Because, I mean, they're pretty silvery overall, right? And maybe we'll go with a silver... Oh, this is a jumbo blue Astaz. Let me see. I kind of like the smaller size. Yo, Fly Tie New England, what's up? How's it going, Tony? If I remember correctly, you're Tony. What's going on, Paul? How you doing? Yeah, we got our first albie in a couple years. Shout out to AC Fishing. He called me. He was like, yo, the fish are going crazy. So I went to the rocks, and the fish were blowing up on the side of the rocks that they never go to. And they were there, the side on my side of the town. But the problem is there were like 15 dudes with spinner rods, and they were all, I mean, they weren't even shoulder to shoulder. They were shoulder to shoulder, and then people behind them throwing their you know what I mean? And they were all fishing politely, you know, but it was just, I couldn't get in there with the fly rod, and everyone was mad chill. But there was just no way for me to get in there. And it was blowing like 30 miles an hour that day. So, but I could see the fish with my eyes close. If there was nobody there, let's just say nobody was there, I would have caught a bunch of them. But so that really sucked. And AC Fishing was there. I could see him catching. And luckily, I think his dad or him, they were like, oh, let's pick up Mike from the rock. So I ran over and they picked me up from the. There's an area where there's like commercial fishing boats, and I hopped on from one of the docks. And then what do you call it? They took me out there and we caught a couple fish. So, and we got them on the feather candies. So that's cool. And we'll take a look at the photos a little later. Unfortunately, didn't get any footage. It was sick. This was some of the best albies I've seen in like since 2020 or 2021. So it's pretty crazy. But so we'll see. I definitely motivated me. You know, I got my green key so I can go park in this one area. But so I'm gonna have to do a little traveling more than likely. But we'll see. I'm going to try and get some good footage. I really want to make a video on albies. I want to get some good albie footage. Oh, dude, if my boat was running. Oh, man, we would have already caught 30 fish on the fly by now. It's crazy. But we're living the broke life, so it's all good. That's right. We'll go drive. We'll walk on the inlet like the old days. I haven't caught an albie from the shore on the South Shore for a while, so we'll see. I'm going to try and make it happen. So when it comes to the snappers, they're really just about like something like this size. They're not that big. You'd think this hook's a little big. I do have some size 2s. You know what? We'll tie one in a size 1 and then we'll tie one in a size 2. And about the same size. I don't necessarily always mind the big hook. These fish are pretty darn aggressive. And I like to think of this fly as almost like an attractor fly at times. So, alright, now this is where we involve the hot glue gun. How you been, Tony? How's your fishing been? How's your fall going? And thank you, Paul. Hope you had a good week. Yeah, I'll stick somewhere around here. About this size. And the feathers are kind of like gnarled. I'm not even that worried about it. I always run a little bead back. I'm going to use like the crappy feathers, if you will, for this section. I'm excited to get this table built, though. Shout out to Rev, dude, my buddy Rev. You see him in the YouTube chat sometimes. He pretty much built me a table for free out of scrap wood. So we call striped bass down here rockfish. Yep. What's wrong with? So originally it was just the trim unit we thought was busted, and of course my trailer needs to be fixed, but that's simple enough. But so I bought a trim unit. And then I went to start looking deeper at it. I'm like, okay, cool. We'll take the trim unit off. We'll put a trim unit on. I got to use one. my steering system, it's not even the steering system. There's a shaft. The entire motor sits on this shaft that's connected to the bracket for the steering system, and the shaft itself is full of grease, and it's like rusted up. So I can't even turn the motor. So you need to remove the outboard from the transom mount. You need to like take apart where the motor steering or the motor shaft goes. It's not like the motor, you just take the motor entirely off the boat, and it's like a rod that sticks down from it. So you don't have to take apart the motor necessarily, but you kind of do, but not like the actual cylinder block and all that. But and it's like I don't even know if I can get parts for it, if we can even like fix it, you know what I mean? So now I'm thinking like, do I just get a used motor essentially? Is what I'm thinking of. Luckily, I only spent $220 on a used trim unit that was tested good with a return policy from eBay. So that was I didn't spend like $800 at least, and then be like, oh fuck, when I started looking deeper. But and it's pretty much due to Honda's design. There's only one grease fitting, and it's at the bottom of the shaft. So when you pump grease into it, the grease just comes out the bottom. So ideally, what you do is you have a grease fitting up top as well. So I saw a video where you can modify it. You drill, you tap, you put grease ports up in the top of this section where the shaft goes, and you pump it up with grease and you heat it up with a torch. And the idea is to free it up. But mine is pretty like, it's not tight. It's like pretty solid. So, I mean, that's the option. We're thinking we're going to try that. If that works, cool. If not, then I need to either take that apart, or I need to get a new used motor, essentially. No way I can afford a new motor. New motors are like 20 grand, right? And I have a 130 on there now, so ideally I would like to keep it like a 130, maybe 135 or something, but you know, even a 150 is like kind of the size that you want on that boat, but I mean, it's just so expensive. Boats are just two best days of a boat: the day you bought it, the day you sold it, they say, but it's just so expensive, unfortunately, you know what I mean? Because it's like a can of worms that I'm starting to get into now, where it's almost just better to look for a used outboard. You know what I mean? But outboards in general are super expensive after COVID, and it took a long time for people to get outboards, especially like the commercial guys and stuff, so the outboard market skyrocketed. But we'll see. Not that I have like used outboard money right now, you know what I mean? But a couple of different various reasons. But so it's all good. I'm just paying bills and saving little bits of money here and there while I can, you know what I mean? So, but I put myself in this situation tying flies for a living and trying to make YouTube videos, so I could just be a mechanic and have a running boat and just not get to use it as much, but I've decided to go the free route, the hobo route. But no matter what, I'm fixing that boat. I'm not selling it. So I'm going to clean it out here soon. I'm going to cover it up. I'm going to get some wood and like support. I'm going to get a giant tarp. Make sure the tarp doesn't collapse from the snow. So I'm probably going to need to get a new trailer at some point. Like so much stuff was wrong with that boat when I got it. You know what I mean? Like the steering system completely failed. We had to run new steering lines and everything, new system for that. Just whole host of issues. The motor itself isn't even in that good of a shape. Like, I had to spend time manually chipping encrusted salt blocks out of the Honda water ports, because for literally the first season we used it, it barely pissed water, and we were like, is this normal? What the hell's going on? I started taking it apart. The thermostat, you should have seen how much like salt was built up inside of the thermostat housing and the ports. Yeah, it's a 21 Steiger Long Beach. It's a 2000. It's either a 2000 or a 99, but it's a beautiful boat. The hull's solid. The boat is immaculate. I just need a motor. So that's the main thing. The boat's perfect. So I just need to keep it in a nice shape while I save up to fix it. But it's it's not a poor man's game, boats, unfortunately, but is what it is. We'll get there eventually. I was so close. I thought I'd be on the water this year. Slap a trim unit on it, fix the trailer, and just go. But life gets in the way a lot of times. So now I'm focusing on my fly tying and my videos and stuff, my YouTube, and my second YouTube channel I'm working pretty hard on as well. We got some big videos coming on the main channel. I'm working on some like how to fly fish for albie sort of things, or like flies for albies and where to, like, areas, locations, videos like that, which people really seem to enjoy on the channel in terms of like views and stuff. So, but I was doing a lot of like commercial clamming, commercial bunker fishing, commercial bait fishing, all this stuff. But and it was a lot of fun, but I don't know if I'm going to be doing as much of that stuff anymore for a couple of reasons. So what I'd really like to do is get another website going, but we shall see. All right, let me shut off the music too. We're done with the music for now. Not that it was very loud, but all right, so we got our feather on here. So essentially I just run a bead of glue along this whole thing, and I like to run it back. And the reason why you run it back is this helps the fly stop it from fouling. Now normally I'd be using a much higher quality hackle with these, but it's like impossible to get those American roosters, so I've switched a lot to just using Chinese saddle hackle and trying to pick better pieces for like all the deceivers and things like that. And honestly, it's not bad. And these were the reject feathers, but you know what? It works perfectly fine. The Albies don't really care too much. So we'll get some lateral scale on there. I want to go with silver, so I've got a bunch of these laid out. Yo, Doc, what's going on? How you doing? Hope you're doing well, dude. Oh, this is where we need the water. This is where we burn our hands. Now, this is my paintbrush water. Okay, I've been painting army guys. That's why it's kind of green. In case you're wondering, like, ugh, what the hell's wrong with this pipes? No, they don't frack where I live. It's just paint water. So we're going to lay that on there. And I kind of like to make sure I really press down that lateral scale. And not only that, I like to fold some of that hot glue over it, so it ain't going nowhere, ideally. What happens is sometimes with these things, if the hot glue melts or over time when it wears off, this thing will start flapping around. It'll work itself off of the fly. But that's how she goes. Hot glue and Chinese feathers? Drinking paint water, sniffing. Hell yeah, baby. Look, I know you guys aren't used to how us Yankees do it, but we like to party over here when we fly tie. Hell yeah. If it wasn't for AC fishing that day, I would have gone home very dejected. Because I was watching everybody catch albies except me. The one guy with the fly rod on the wrong side of the wrong inlet. So AC fishing was nice enough to pick me up. So I've been harassing Jeff to take me fishing. He clearly does not want to take me fishing. So we're going to have to take it into our own hands and go from shore. We're going to be putting glue there so you can see. Let me see if I can get a close up here. This section right here is covered in glue. That back section. And this stuff is depressed into it. So I've been harassing him, dude. I'm like, yo, if you're going fishing, let me know. If you're going fishing, let me know. Yeah. Like that. I don't understand why he doesn't want to take me fishing. It's not annoying at all. Whatever happened to my boat? I bought a trim unit this year, but we were just talking about my it's not even my steering. Like the motor mount itself is completely effed in the A. I can't even like steer the motor because it's completely like frozen in there. So I don't know. Me and my buddy are gonna drill it and tap it possibly, and fill it with grease and hit it with torches and drink some beer. See if that works. And if not, then I need to find a used motor. So yeah, money doesn't. Look, I told you we're not too far away from living in a van down by the bridge, tying teasers for fluke guys. Okay, I've been talking about it for years, but luckily, we're doing okay. But boat money is, boat money's boat money. So one day, the Hope boat. Yeah, hope it's an actual working boat. Hell yeah, that's what I should name it. I hope it runs. That or like, does anyone the name of the boat will be, does anyone have Cito's number? Question mark. Oh, by the way, we should probably whip some of these up. I want to test them out. So I got a request from a guide. Now Jeff's petitioning to call these the albi floof, whatever the hell that is. But this is essentially like a zonker with a Staz, and the guide's been apparently crushing them. So crushing albies on these. So we're gonna whip one of these up before the end of the night as well. Go test that sucker out. Okay, try and keep somewhat zoomed in. Let's go with silver. No, bluefish have yellow eyes. Gold and yellow eye devils. So we're going to go with some gold. Yeah. It was interesting. There was no mono loop, and it's a rabbit strip fly. So I was curious. I added a mono loop to it, and I asked him, I was like, are you having any issues with it fouling or whatever? And he's like, no, not really, but I'll put the mono loop on there anyway. I'm like, all right. It's hard. I get a blurry, vague photo from a guide, like 2 photos. You know what I mean? And really, I should tell him, like, put a goddamn Bic lighter next to it so I could see the the scale. But it's hard to tell sometimes. You know what I mean? I should probably get a length measurement from him. Tell me the specifics of the fly before I commit to it. There's all these things. So I'm like, well, usually with rabbit strip flies, you use the loop. Are we not using the loop here because the rabbit strip's short enough that it doesn't matter? Now look at this. When you heat it up, this glue actually kind of gets somewhat clear. That's kind of interesting. But it will turn cloudy, I think, when it dries. It's already getting a little cloudy. So you always wet your fingers in this step. Sticks422. Hey, hope you're doing good too. Yeah, thank you. Everybody's doing well. Thank you. Hope you're doing all right. The Pompazonk. see, that's a way better name than whatever the hell Jeff came up with. So what I'm going to do here is sometimes you got a little area where the hot glue, the 2 meet. I'm just going to melt that up a little bit so we get a nice smooth transition. It also makes it more durable. Let me actually, you can kind of see it where there's that bump there. So I kind of just do this. All right. So we got that to that. Let me actually, wrong mouse. And the whole idea with this in the water, right? It's definitely a larger profile than an anchovy. So maybe we tie one more. I kind of want a blue feather on top. And there's some yellows in there. I'm trying to think how I can get some different colors without making it complicated. Maybe we can add a couple different feathers, actually. Let's try another one. Blue marker. Yeah, you can use blue markers. I like trying to not use markers. You see me use markers on like foam a lot, but you don't. I try. It's weird. I just never was big into like using it on material. You know, sometimes we do it on like game changers. I feel like you need like a Copic marker and you need the airbrush system to really get it to look nice. You know, it's hard to like something like this you could, but it also fades away pretty easily, which isn't necessarily the worst thing, right? Um, in fact, screw it. Let's just hit it with a marker right now. Let's see what happens. I have a blue marker, Sharpie, right here, so let's try it. And we got a little yellow too. So there's our yellow and there's our blue. Some hollow flash instead of just silver ribbon. Yeah, well, we got the blue on the inside, right? That's where I wanted some of the blue. I got the yellow eyes. And the whole reason I went silver is because normally on the side, you can either use pearl lateral scale, or you can use silver lateral scale, or different colors, but these are the two colors I have. I don't have any other colors. Just hit it with like a little yellow in areas, and on the tail, we'll hit it with some yellow, and then we'll hit it with some blues. Yo, Dad Life, what's up? Yo, you got a kayak, man. You should be out there kayaking it up, getting albies. You get on any albies? Unfortunately, where I am, I mean, you could kayak in the ocean, but it's pretty freaking risky. But like on the North Shore of Long Island, people can use kayaks and stuff like that. I'm half tempted to take my kayak up there, but I haven't used that thing in years. So I had a humble reminder that I'm definitely not the spry, like 25-year-old albie fisherman I used to be. Because wait till I'll try and show you this GoPro footage. I almost got swept off the rocks. I had the tip all to myself at the inlet. It was really, really bad. A couple of the guys sorry, you guys can't even see what I'm doing because of the blur. I'm sorry about that. I knew a couple of the dudes, and they were like, "Oh yeah, way, oh hey yo," and they were chill. There was nothing really going on, so they let me kind of do my thing and give me some space, so I didn't give them a piercing. But what do you call it? I was sitting there fishing, and first off, one of the dudes was sitting up against like the light post that's on these jetties. You know, it's almost like there's got to be some sort of light that generally, there's like a camera, there's a light, so people don't hit the rocks. There's different, like, you know, could be some sort of like electrical thing as well. But he's sitting up against this giant like concrete block near the end, and this wave hits the rocks, and I look over, and this dude's like, I couldn't see him anymore because he was completely hit by the wave. I'm like, oh shit, and he got like lifted up. I'm like, dude, all right, what am I doing out here, right? Okay, and then I thank God I have my corkers. I haven't used my corkers in years. If you don't know, corkers are something you slip onto your wading boots, and they have like metal screws sticking out of the bottom of them. So thank God I brought those and I found those. So I'm at the end, and you have to like you have to look every couple of minutes because you're not facing you're like facing the side of the inlet at the end. You're not facing like directly towards the ocean. So you have to look when the waves are coming. And dude, you see I'm like filming, and it's like one or two waves. I'm getting some cool shots is what I'm just doing because there's no albies. And this fucking wave hits the rocks, comes over, and completely lifts me like off the rocks, and I go up in the air a little bit. It's hard to see, but the thing is, it lifted my left foot, and I like, I'm waiting for it, because if you know how to fish on the inlet, you have to like brace yourself for the waves essentially, because the waves will come over, and if you're not careful, you get swept off. And I'm wearing waders too, so like that's like pretty much you're dead, right? So I'm like, I can't go in, right? But my foot goes off the rock, and it almost drops my foot in between the gaps. So like there's gaps in between the rocks. The rocks aren't perfectly flat next to each other. There's like 5-foot gaps in between with like metal, shit sticking out of it. Like, it's not the safest thing, but thank God at the last second I was able to like put my foot down. But I immediately was like, all right, screw this. I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm not dying for an albie. Like that was like a good stark reminder. I was like, hell yeah, dude, I've been out here fishing on this inlet my whole life. I can handle this. And I almost got like lifted off the inlet. I was like, fuck this, dude, I'm leaving. A digger? What does that mean? Did you mean did you fall into the rocks, or did you fall off of the rocks into the water? That's got to be some Massachusetts slang. You had to dig your way out or something? Actually, when I was a kid, I got swept off the rocks, and me and my buddy, and we had to swim all the way back with our fishing rods. It was like, it's a couple hundred feet. You have to swim back to the beach and then climb back on the rocks. But it happens where the wave comes through the inlet, sweeps over the rocks on the inlet, and just sweeps people off. And the scary part is when the current's really strong, you're wearing waders. Even with a wading belt, I mean, your waders are going to fill up. The second they fill up, I mean, it's heavy neoprene waders are, you're going to be in trouble, You just don't want to go in the water, essentially. Oh, you ended up in the rocks? Oh, yeah, one of the dudes showed me he fell in, like what you did, and his leg got completely cut up, because there's, like, barnacles down there, too. But there's always, like, hazardous shit down there. There's always, like, nets with hooks. There's, like, jagged rocks. There's, like, dead, like, 100-pound skates that fell in there. Who knows what sort of crazy stuff has been. And it's probably full of piss as well, because everybody's peeing on the inlet. Oh, God. Reminded me of why I was happy I had a boat. But now I'm schlepping it up on shore again, so I got to get used to the hazards of fishing on the rocks. So this is a 1-odd. I'm going to try this. It's going to give us a little bit more room to work with as well. Oh, yeah. See, there's always so much crap down there. Because it's whatever doesn't get washed out. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times the water will actually connect underneath those. There's like little passages. But so it just gets filled with debris and crap. So like broken bottles and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I've been lucky. I've never gotten seriously injured on a jetty. Knock on wood. I'll knock on a couple different pieces of wood for that one. But I've had so many close calls fishing on those rocks over the years. Thank God they fixed it at one point too. At some point the Army Corps of Engineers completely redid it. And when I was a kid growing up, it was like an obstacle course. I used to have so much fun running on it. But it was there would be giant gaps in between the rocks, and they were all uneven. They were different sizes. Like there were times where you couldn't walk back to the, you would be stuck on the point and you'd have to wait for the tide. This was back in like the 90s. Famous YouTuber. Now there would be, it would say local Long Island man dead. There would be nothing about YouTube. Nothing at all. Maybe unless like News 12 does a quick Google search, and then even they would be like fishing guy dies while fishing. Yeah. Following his passion of I thought you said of Long Island jetties. They call me the Jetty Man. I know everything about this jetty. Have good times. Yeah. You guys, you gotta be careful. I will say, though, it's pretty cool. We never see Albies on my side of the inlet. We always have to drive, so to see them on my side was pretty sick. I've had only one opportunity in the past, 30 years of me being there and seeing them and actually being able to get a fly. So, but nowadays, dude, years ago, not everybody was fishing for Albies. 6-7 years ago. You see some people. Nowadays, everybody knows about albies, so everybody's got an epoxy jig, so they just switch right on. Then next thing you know, it just gets swamped. You know, that's why one of the great reasons about driving to the other side, and some, different inlets are different. Sometimes they're not always equal lengths, and the fishing isn't always equal on each side. That could be a good video right there in itself, is talking about how jetties work. At least my experience with jetties, my personal. And how on different tides, the current rips around the jetties differently in different tides, But, yeah, dude, seeing those fish on my side was crazy. But the nice thing about the other side is there's so much room, and the albies come so close along the entire side, not just the tip. So you have a much better chance with the fly rod. Also, what's going on, Jan? How you doing, man? Okay. Yeah, man. I mean, you're up there in Massachusetts. That's Bonito land. We in Long Island Sound, but we don't really get them on the South Shore. If we do, they're like half a pound. So I'm really hoping for a resurgence in Bonito, but and to be fair, we haven't really had albies the past 2-3 years, and I had this hypothesis that Bonito were making a comeback and albies were making a decline or having a decline. Because now, for any of you old heads that have been fishing before me in the 80s, from what I've heard, is that there were no false albacore back in the 90s and 80s and stuff like that, or early 90s. At some point in the 90s, the Bonito disappeared. They probably got outfished. Something happened, who knows. And I guess the gap ended up getting filled by albies, like false albacore started showing up. Or maybe false albacore, for whatever reason, had a low population and they came back. But after the albies started showing up, what everyone said is the Bonito disappeared. So either the Bonito were on a decline themselves, and then the albies showed up. But there was some point in the late 90s, early 2000s, when like albie fishing really blew up. And it was because if you look in a lot of the books, it was a lot of Bonito fishing is what was going on Long Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, back in the 80s, 70s and stuff like that. There were some albies, but it wasn't anything like it was. And then at some point it just switched. It switched from Bonito to albies. Because there used to be 10-pound Bonito off Long Island on the South Shore. Now we just have these like little tiny ones. Now, they still get pretty decent-sized Bonito up in Massachusetts and stuff like that, but it's different. And yeah, so you're saying 90s had a ton of bluefish. Yeah, the bluefish was crazy when I was growing up on the North Shore. Nowadays, we don't get those gator bluefish blitzes in the fall. We see them in the spring in certain areas because we're very lucky. They come in, they do this gestation-like thing. They're not spawning, they're gestating. And, what do you call it? But we're not seeing that everywhere. So a lot of places like lost bluefish, like I get messages from people in Jersey that are like, dude, I haven't seen big bluefish doing that stuff in like 30 years or whatever, this and that. So it's like, things change, but I'm really curious whether or not we see a resurgence in Bonito one day, because I've never really had the opportunity to catch a decent Bonito on the fly. I feel like I have to go up either to the Sound, which even then for years there weren't even a ton of them. They seem like they're getting bigger up there now. Where you got to go up to like Massachusetts to catch like a decent Bonito, but I'm seeing a lot of Bonito picks, decent sized ones too. So it's a good sign. I guess we'll see what it's like a couple years from now or something, You got back from your Alaska vacay? Oh yeah, I remember you were going to Alaska. How'd it go? Fabulous trip with lots of big fish? Hell yeah, dude. Excuse me. Spawning sockeye, bycatch, and many 20+ rainbows, which were the targeted species. Oh, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's got to be an awesome trip. Go up to Alaska. Very cool. I know the Rise guys were up there. a bunch of other people. So it seemed like a good time of year to go. All right. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to go fishing. We'll see. I think my buddy might be coming out this Sunday. So, it's okay. If he does that, we're going to go. But what I got the green key, and I'm going to go during the week. Because when I went there, I think it was like Wednesday or Tuesday, from the other side of the rocks, there was not a single person fishing on the other side. There was like one or two people. So, if I go early and fish before later in the day, I should be able to fish with like nobody around. So, it's kind of ideal. Oh yeah, so I wanted to use white feathers, but then I also want to see if we can... Maybe we go with the dark color first. No, I kind of want that on top. All right, we are going to use a different color, but I do want to use some white, so maybe we are better off with that short feathers. We build it up. Let's try it. We're experimenting. Albies are thick in Rhode Island. Your buddy caught one today. I mean, dude, Jin, we're seeing stuff like it was the video, the albie highlights that I play every stream. That's what we're seeing, which we haven't seen in years. So, and the cool thing is, it wasn't one school of fish. It was multiple schools of fish all over the place. Which, when you're seeing like medium-sized schools where it's 20, 30 fish popping up, and then another 20, 30 fish, another 30, like that, that's a really good sign. That's when your opportunities to catch fish go up, because you're not chasing a singular school of fish. It's just you'll be sitting there and you're like, oh, look, there's fish over there. Let's go there. And next thing you know, the fish just pop up next to you, and there's schools of fish everywhere. So that's the sort of fishing that's very conducive to just catching a lot of fish on the fly or spin. And they're eating, they're very, sometimes they come in some years where they barely like feed and it's very hard. These fish are like, you get the fly in there, they're going to swipe at it. It may take a couple casts, but you'll get them. So it's very good. We really love seeing that. So it's been a couple years since we've had really any consistent fish showing at all, let alone blitzes. So that's what we like to see. That's what I like to see. All right, we're going to go blue, I guess. Now, one thing is I need to... probably the next video will be the... something albie. I still want to do the bunny deceiver. I also want to do this bunny zonker albie fly. Maybe we do that one. I don't know. We got a couple. And I got to film all these albie videos. So, honestly, like... Probably what I'm going to be doing this weekend. Normally what I do is I like film a battle report with one of my buddies and what do you call it? Do some filming. I really got to try and get some like film multiple videos and start editing and working on multiple videos for the main channel. So LI Flies Mike. I also have some battle reports I'm editing, but I want to get this albie videos out. So, and then there's also some striper time, fall time stuff I wanted to do. So, I think this weekend I'm caught up. I or at least semi caught up. I got a ton of flies I got to tie for whitewater, so that's what I'm going to be working on now. I literally just tied. Let's see, it was 175. They were like 6-inch sand eel surf candies. You can check out my Instagram or the Discord. You'll see the photos. I tied those in like the past 2 weeks or something. That's what I've been working on a lot. But I got that out of the way. So now I'm going to focus on like albie stuff for shops and for YouTube. So I really, I'm going to try and catch up this weekend and get as much filming. So normally I film like 1 or 2 videos and then I'll edit them. But I'm going to try and film like 3 or 4 videos this weekend and then edit it, over the course of a couple weeks. So, we'll see. So, I want to get some blue up top. See, I kind of like that more than a Sharpie. You know what I mean? It's not half bad. Plus, we're going to put a lateral line right down the middle, so that should make it more durable. Ooh, I guess you used yellow. Yeah, you used yellow for the staz, and then you lay the blue feather up on top. Mm-hmm. So these are the Albie Ho Deluxe, is what I'm calling this one. You get 2 feathers in the front. That's like premium, extra premium. Unfortunately, I think I used that really nice looking light blue feather, thinking I had one more. But it looks like I only had one. So now we're going to go with the dark blue. But, you know, that's alright. It's cool. Yo, Jay, what's up, man? How you doing? We're just whipping up a couple albie flies for fishing either this weekend or this week. One or the other. But I'm going to get back out there, probably go from the rocks. So we shall see. Fishing with an 11 weight, too. I either am fishing with a 10.5 foot switch rod with a floating line, or I got an 11 weight with a super heavy fast sink tip. But I'm telling you, the 11 weight, shout out to Wolfram, still using that 11 weight, man. It's a beautiful rod. The only thing is the carbon fiber tears my fingers up, bro. And that's not his fault. I asked him to do it. But my hands are freaking, they get tore up. But what do you call it? What was I going to say? The 11 weight is sick with that sinking line because 25 mile per hour wind, you can still cast and you're not struggling, you know? Thing is, though, you can't really fish with it all day because it's surprisingly not that stiff or heavy of a rod. Whatever blank he used is pretty nice. So, but I am kind of like on hobo status. I don't have an 8 weight, I don't have a 9 weight, don't have a 10 weight. You know, I'm using either like a switch rod or an 11 weight for Albies. But, you know what? That's fine. You know what I mean? Because guess what? 11 weight, I can cast far. And switch rod, you can cast far. I need to cast as far as I can with the least amount of effort as possible because of my back. So I like heavy lines. You'll never see me false cast more than 3 times. Unless I'm like casting and I see fish pop up and I'm like adjusting my cast mid-cast. You'll never see me false cast more than 3 times. I like super heavy heads on fly lines. And I generally do 1 or 2 false casts. A lot of times I only do 1. I pick it up and I double haul it and I just send it. You know, especially too, it helps to position yourself and go fishing at spots where the wind is benefiting you that day. That's not always the case, but you can also kind of then be like, oh, I'm going to go somewhere else or something. I'll work or I'll sit on a different corner where the wind hits differently. I could back cast then. You know what I mean? I always try and fish in a way where I'm not fighting the wind because I'm just going to end up hurting my back much quicker. So I like short false casts. And if I got the wind, perfect. If not, I'm just going to back cast. And that heavy shooting head is just going to take that line and send it. You know what I mean? The least amount of work possible. Because I saw somebody on the other side of the rocks. I was fishing. And mind you, they're probably a quarter of a mile away. I could see them false casting, though, right? And I could see their stripping basket. So I'm like, okay, there is one person fly fishing over there. I couldn't tell who it was. But I saw, and he's got the wind at his back. I'm sitting in 25. Now, mind you, it's 25 mile per hour wind. Possibly 30, right? And it's howling. Like right in my face. He's got it at his back. I see this dude false cast. I'm not even joking, about like 8 or 9 times. I wish I was over there because I wish I could have gone up to him and be like, dude, you're like, all you got to do is pick that thing up, double haul it, and you'll shoot 100 feet, no problem. because you're just wasting so much energy, like doing 10 false casts when, you know, when you have 25-mile-per-hour wind at your back. Like, you should just literally pick up that line and launch it. No problem. So it could be maybe he's underlined, you know, he might not have the perfect line for his rod and stuff. But I usually try and help people out. Now, if it's somebody that doesn't look like they're new, I'm not going to go up to him and be like, yo, why are you casting like shit, bro? But I usually talk to people and stuff, and I ask them, you know, if they need a hand. But I'll just straight up tell somebody, I'm like, dude, what's going on? Why are, like, you got, the wind's crazy right now. Why are you struggling? Let me check your rod out. You know what I mean? I try to help people. But I try and do it politely. Oh, dude, I just got hot glue on my thread. That's not the biggest deal. Yeah, I'll just peel that off. Because I have people ask me, and I have people that come fishing with me. And sometimes they struggle, you know, or like people reach out on Instagram. They're like, yo, I'm coming out. Do you think you could take me fishing? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Whatever. And if you're not used to saltwater fly fishing, once you get into the wind, it's really tough. So a lot of people that maybe don't have experience with saltwater fly fishing, they come from like fishing in rivers, like trout, and they really struggle at times because they just don't have a lot of experience. Like, you have to learn how to fish in the wind. So I usually have to try and give them some tips and stuff. But once you get the hang of it, it's not hard. You kind of just need to adjust your thinking. But the issue is a lot of times people are like, really don't have lines that I feel like are heavy enough to properly load the rod. You know, that's why sometimes I'll also use things like 10-weight lines on a 9-weight rod, for instance. It depends. Some lines, they are making lines that are much heavier now. In the past, like, I feel like they underlined, or the grains weren't as heavy as I liked them, so I would always overline. I was talking about this with Mark Sadati, actually, last time we were handing out, and how I always overline. But, and there's almost like a thing like, oh, well, you know, they would say that, like, well, at the fly shop, they hand you a 9-weight, but it's got a 10-weight line, and that's why it casts so nice. So I'm like, then why the hell am I using a 9-weight line with a 9-weight rod if that rod, you know, if the Orvis that tried to sell me that rod, you know, I don't know if that's true or if that was like a joke, but I started doing that at some point. I'm like, oh my God, this is so much easier. Like, the grain is so much heavier, and now sometimes it's too heavy. If you go too heavy on the opposite side, it gets unmanageable, and you're overloading the rod to the point to where you might even break that rod if it's really blowing heavy and you're throwing a heavy fly. So you got to be careful. But when you find that sweet spot, like a Rio striper line, 10-weight on a 9-weight rod, oh, dude. I mean, the least amount of backcasting you need to do, and you just launch it. So nice. The rod loads perfect. The line comes flying out of your basket and hits. You get that like ka-tunk. You know, it's almost like you're freaking, it like hits your rod and like pulls it forward. I love it. It's so good. So that's generally like the biggest issue, I feel like, when people first come out to salt, they struggle. A lot of times their lines aren't either not a good line or it's not heavy enough, you know. Oh, we got the people partying. There's somebody that's been playing some music. God, man, try not to judge, but it was some of the worst. It's the same beat over and over. Like, bum, 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 bum. For like 4 hours. That's all you hear. Bum, 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 bum. Man, they really like that bump bump music, huh? Bum, 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 bum. And then every once in a while you'd hear like Katy Perry or something, and then back to bum, 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 bum. Please make it stop. Please change the beat. Why does every song have the same drums? Yeah, we'll go with the gold eyes. So I like this a lot better than hitting it with the markers. That's what I'm saying. I think like a Sharpie or something, it's so much nicer when you have like a Copic marker that you can airbrush. But just a Sharpie is tough to get it really looking nice, in my opinion. Ah, you know what? Screw it. Let's go with a bigger eye, actually. Bluefish got pretty big eyes. Now all I can think about is boom, bump, boom, bump, boom, bump, boom, bump. And I don't even know what sort of music it is. All I can hear is the drums and bass. All I hear is the boom, bump, boom, bump, boom, bump. Posted a couple pics? Yeah, we'll take a look. Honestly, we're probably not going to be streaming that much longer here. I got to, like, clean up this room. I got to move stuff around. My buddy's coming at 10 o'clock tomorrow, and we're going to essentially build a table in my room, so... I want to make sure I move everything out of the way for him, so he doesn't have, it's like everything's good to go. So, but we're gonna take a look at the Discord before we end the stream. Coming up here in just a sec. I was gonna like postpone the stream till tomorrow, but we stream every Friday night. I didn't want to put it off. We're gonna tie like another fly after this, and then we'll take a look at the Discord. I wanted to whip up some albie flies for myself. All right. I'll go ahead and hit it. So the one problem with this glue, compared to, I feel like, pure high temp, is that it's like high-low temp. Is what this one is. It does cool pretty quickly, which in my opinion is not good. I'd rather have it be malleable for a while. It cools a little too quickly for my flavor. I want to force it to cool with using wet fingers. I don't want it to cool on its own, you know. Okay, my finger wasn't wet enough there, if you saw it. Hot glue stuck to it. There we go. I like those eyes. Yeah, that was AC Fishing. He actually called me, and I went. He's like, dude, you got to get down on the rocks. He was out on his boat. He's like, get out to the rocks. The shit's crazy right now. So I went out there, and sure enough, it was, but it wasn't really fly fishable for me. And luckily, after catching literally 30 fish, he was like, we should go pick up Mike. I feel bad for him. So they picked me up, and I caught a couple before he had to go to work, so... Those were pity albies from AC Fishing. If it wasn't for AC, I wouldn't have had any pity cores. The classic pity albie. They were just watching me stand on the rocks while all the surf guys were catching them. I'm sitting there. I felt bad, I guess. So I see what AC Fishing pulls up next to the rocks while we're all, me and these guys are standing on there. And they're like pointing towards the parking lot. So I start running. I'm like, see you guys, I got a ride. I'm going albie fishing. What did you catch on the rocks? A cold? No. Nothing. I didn't catch anything on the rocks. I almost lost a couple flies. Okay. Let's just opening up Discord. All right, let's tie one more of these. This size we're going to use yellow for the belly, and we're going to do the blue up top and all that. We're kind of specializing our snapper albiho. Specialization. Oh, I actually got some old Chinese saddle hackle in a bag. Bunch of it. Let me use some of this stuff. Yeah. Whoa. There you go. A little bit of this. I saw them catch 30 fish on... I saw Aiden, or AC Fishing, and his dad and his friend catch 30 fish. No, I saw them catch like 10, but they said they had 30 in that day. They went like 7, 8, and they left around 1. Yeah. I mean, 3 spinning rods, you can catch 3 fish. I mean, they land the fish in like 2 minutes. You can easily catch like 30 fish with spinning rods. 30 fish fly rod, that's tough. Even with multiple people on the boat. You can do it, but it's a lot tougher to do that. Doesn't mean you can't, but does it really matter? Not really, but oh shit, I probably should order 1 odds of these. I'm placing an order at saltwaterflies.com tonight. I think Chris was out of town, so I was waiting. Shout out to saltwaterflies.com always. Essentially, I need an order. Boom. Good to go. Comes in a couple days. All right. Use the same. This is a size 1 007, 34007 SS. This is probably the most iconic saltwater fly hook of all time. In fact, what's anyone watching the stream? What's when you think of saltwater fly tying? What's the hook you think of? The one that's like been around, or the one that just comes to mind? When I think of it, honestly, it's the 007 SS. This hook's been around so long. It's been around so long. I don't even know if they make a fly version of it now, but this is what it was called back in the day. Not the SS. This stands for stainless steel, but the 007. 34007. That's why we used to call it the 007. Which is another name for diamond jigs on Long Island. That's the other thing. I'm curious, do people call the 007 diamond jigs that in Massachusetts? You know that, Jen? Or like Tony, anybody watching? 007 diamond jig. And the whole reason why we would call it that is because of the weight. Now it says A07. But for some reason we call it the 007. So that's what they called them at the tackle shops back in the 90s. The 007s. So there's actually 2 like nostalgic numbers I think of is for that saltwater fly hooks from Mustad, because they were fly hooks, and then the jigs. We used to catch so many bluefish with those. That's still one of the best things to throw when the sand eels are around, or one of those diamond jigs with an Li Flies Mike teaser in front of it. Don't get it mistaken. That's what you really want to up the odds. But don't be surprised they start eating the teaser more than the jig. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. That's what I was doing last year. I tied a bunch of those teasers. You saw on Instagram. I just posted today and in the Discord. I tied a bunch of them last year too, and I was like, screw it. Let me go test these things out. Because apparently people are buying them like crazy, and they say they're working good. So let me go test them. And I was fishing with the diamond jig, one after another, dude. Keeper bass. I had one fish that was like 33, 34 inches. And almost every single one was on the teaser, not the diamond jig. And that's what everybody was slamming them on. So I was like, hell yeah, these teasers worked. Yeah, dude. They definitely work. I want to make this a little shorter, actually. Let me fix this. I'll just heat up this. Go peel this off. Actually, we can just heat it up. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be taking my truck on the beach. In fact, I got to figure something out, dude. There's something like a U-joint or something. I've been trying not to drive my truck, but I want to get it. I'm going to start taking it fishing, so I was even tempted to get a 4x4 permit just so, because this one area you drive, it's pretty much not even driving on sand for very small sections. But it's not anything like actually driving on the beaches out here. But I was like, screw it, I'll just walk, I guess, in the parking lot. Because if the Albies don't stay around that long, that means I spent $100 and something on a 4x4 permit for a week. You know what I mean? And we don't really got that in the budget, so. I'm thinking of a Mustad, but can't remember the number. Mustad hook's been around a long time. That they have. I mean, there was only a handful of fly fishing hooks that were around back in the 90s for saltwater. Tiemco, Gamakatsu, Mustad, Verivas. I mean, I don't even think there was any other brands that I could think of that were specific saltwater fly fishing hooks. There might have been the Trey Combs hooks. Didn't he have his own hooks? Was Owner making saltwater fly hooks? I don't remember. This is like from the 90s. Okay. But yeah, there wasn't many brands. Now there's a lot more. There's a lot more available stuff. I mean, the Titans are still around, but you have like Arex and other companies. But there's not many. We don't really have too many saltwater fly hook manufacturers in general. I'm sure we have more than we did back in the 90s, but... or early 2000s or whatever. Okay. Well, this is some good practice to get my legs with the hot glue gun again. You know, get my sea legs. Because I'm probably going to tie like 100 of these freaking things. Give some to the local shops and then throw them up on Instagram. See if anybody wants them. If not, keep them as backlog. Keep them as my stock. Oh, damn it. I was supposed to use chartreuse. That's alright. So you know what we'll do? We'll use chartreuse in the feather up top, I think. Oh, maybe we use chartreuse for the belly, blue for the top. Let's do that. I was supposed to use the yellow for the inside. That's okay. I forgot. We're over here chit-chatting, blabbering. Flapping my gums. Alright. Do I even have yellow hackle? That's a good question. I think I have yellow flatwing. Those are too big. What if we use marabou? Can we hot glue the marabou in there? Not in the same way, but... I need to grab hackle. 1 second. Oh. There we go. Got the yellow. We want something fairly short, not too long. So, oh, these are actually really nice. These are perfect albie horror or albie hoe. I could say it, it's just I can't, like, for instance, I can't monetize my albie horror video because of the title and the thumbnail. I wonder if I change that, I can. So I think I'm going to make a new one, and I'm going to name the, I'm going to name the title of the video, YouTube Ban This Fly, or something. I'll pull the, what is it, I think Mainly Flies, he's super big. He's got some clickbaity stuff like that. I'm going to go super clickbait with it. YouTube hates the name of this fly. My favorite albie fly. Or do some, I don't know, whatever. Go super YouTube with it. Full YouTuber mode. Because they won't let me monetize it. Or I guess I can, but it'd be restricted. Meaning it would be like, it might already be restricted. I don't know. It might be restricted. Meaning that, like, it doesn't show it to everybody because they think it's offensive. Sort of thing. It is, you know. Not the most polite fly name, but. So I wonder if we go like this. We go with the curve. Nah, we want curve out. We always go curve out. I was going to do a little experimenting, but. We want that on the belly. YouTube hates this fly. Fly name. YouTube ban this fly. You gotta do something so, you know what I mean? Something so classic, dumb YouTube title. Because not that I make a ton of money off ad revenue, but dude, in this business, everything helps. So I'm not complaining. Helps pay for the materials and stuff for videos and all that. So every little bit counts. So not being able to have, because they're going to play ads on it whether or not. You're going to see ads on it unless you have YouTube Premium. YouTube runs ads on everything. It's just whether or not the creator gets any money. Alright, let's get some blue on there. For instance, and not that I necessarily get a ton of ad revenue. I think one of the videos that we did recently, I got like $2 from in like 3 weeks or something. The hook cost $1. The Gamagotchi hook cost $1. So you know what I mean? But that's okay. The good thing is there's videos that have been around for a while, and that after a while they like get views. Some videos like do pretty well ad revenue wise, so I can't really complain. Like the DIY leader video and like the fly box video with like, you know, a look inside a commercial fly tires fly box. Those videos are doing very well ad revenue wise. And it's nothing crazy again, but still, like, hey, if they make $5 a week, that's not bad. You know what I mean? So definitely need to make some more. You know, we do a lot of fly tying tutorials and stuff, but after we started doing some of these striper videos, it seems like people definitely want to watch that sort of stuff. So I think I definitely need to diversify into like fly fishing in terms, and like do more like discussion videos instead of like, all right, this is how you tie this fly and stuff. You know, do more like a discussion about certain materials or certain flies and how the idea behind it and how to implement it or how to fish these things and how to fish certain areas or things like that. You know, different ideas and subjects, like subject matter videos about fly fishing and striped bass or fly fishing in the Northeast, whatever, in saltwater. Reading structure, you know, all these different things, right? So, because primarily we've just done fly tying over the years. That's kind of my thing, but we're kind of getting into some other stuff, so. And it seems like that gets pushed a lot more. People watch that a lot more. We get like new viewers and stuff too, so, which is good. The whole idea is teaching people how to fly fish and fly tie, so. I met this dude on the rocks, really cool guy. We were talking for a bit. And he's like, yeah, I got into fly fishing, this and that. I'm like, oh, you fly tie? He's like, no. I'm like, oh, dude, you should. Because there's nothing better than tying your own flies. He's like, I like buying flies from people and supporting them. I'm like, that's cool. I like that. But, what do you call it? He was like, oh, what's your, where do you go? I'm like, oh, I'm Ally Flies Mike. He's like, oh, I've been following you for years. And he actually said, we've talked before on Instagram, but it was just so funny. He didn't know who I was. I was like, yeah, I've been doing this for a while now. And it's just funny. But I always try and get people to, even though I sell flies for a living, I always try and encourage people to get into fly tying because, I mean, there's just nothing better. Not everyone has time for it, which is totally understandable. This is like a little mahi albie hoe or something, but I always try and encourage people, tell them, look, I'm telling you, you take a little bit of bucktail, you tie it on a hook, and you catch a striped bass on it, you're going to get hooked. You're going to be the one that gets hooked. So, just watch out. But thankfully, not everyone does tie all of their own flies, because I really would not be able to make a living doing this. Those surf candies paid the bills, so it is nice some people still want to buy flies. Your favorite are fire hole hooks? I've never used them still. And do they even make salt hooks? They have like barbless stuff, right? Like the trout stuff. I think I remember they had like a bunch of hooks that were barbless, which is what caught my eye. I really wish, for commercial, I can't force people to fish with barbless hooks, but I really wish people, I wish they would sell like your favorite hook models in barbless. I feel like they used to do that. They used to sell a lot more hook models in barbless. But maybe not. Maybe I'm tripping. Because if I could, I would fish with barbless hooks. Last thing I want to do is deal with barbs. I'd rather have a fish pop off the fly than have my line break and the fly be stuck in the fish's mouth for God knows how long. Especially when you're using stainless steel hooks, they ain't going to rust. And a hook stuck in a fish's mouth and a long leader, all that stuff, like, that's why it's very frowned upon in tuna fishing to leave hooks in their mouth. This is why you see, like, marine biologists talk about shark fishing, how you really shouldn't leave hooks in a shark's mouth. Like, fish are such hydrodynamic creatures where the shape of their body, like, directly relates to how much energy they have to expend to move and all this stuff. So, like, when you have a big hook in their mouth, not only does it make it harder for them to, like, eat. So, like, if an albie has a giant plug stuck in its mouth, you know what I mean, with deep in the barbs, if it can't get that thing out, it's probably just going to die, you know what I mean, after, like, a couple days. You find bluefish with, like, that sort of thing happen. Most of the time, like, it'll either pop off, more than likely, but, I really just wish they would just sell debarbed hooks in saltwater already. And that way you didn't have to crush them, because when you crush them, then you get a weak spot where the rust builds up. If you ever notice, you crush your barbs, that's one spot you'll get rust, is where that barb gets crushed. You read Firehole's going out of business, so try and grab a couple if you still can, Jin. Oh, man. Ah, man, yeah. Yeah, it's got to be tough, dude. It's got to be tough. This fly has been renamed by the Albie Tires as the Albie Escort. I'm a member of the Cape Lookout Fly Fishers, and this fly will be a feature of another group time this month. Oh, very cool, Jim. Yeah, the name, they don't really like the name. So Richard Regan, from Long Island, is the guy who developed this fly, and local Long Islander. And, he was ahead of his time, because look at Kelly Gallup and all these guys now. They got the sex dungeon, all this stuff. Richard Regan was ahead of his time, when it came to a sexually charged fly name. But this one's a little bit more brash, I guess you could say, or harsh than something more erotic, like the trout flies that they name nowadays. But yeah, I call it the Albie Ho. But yeah, Albie Escort's probably a little bit more classy. But it depends how you tie your Albie Escorts or Hoes. If you tie them sloppy, you know what I mean? You call them Albie Lot Lizards or something. But if you're like cleanly dressed, and like you did a really good job with it, then you call it the Albie Escort. All right. All right. Let me clean this up. We're going to wrap up the stream here. I'm making prostitute jokes. We've reached our time limit for the stream. Thank you. Yep, this is my Albie Lot Lizard fly. That's what I should call it. The Albie Lot Lizard. We should come up with our own name like that. Our own fly. And that's what we'll call it. Like a modified version where it needs to be different enough. So but like part of me is too, like, it is the Albie whore. I feel like I'm also like almost disgracing the fly's legacy by like toning down the name because of YouTube censorship. You know what I mean? It's crazy, dude. I don't know, have you guys noticed like like how so much censorship happens nowadays with like just even like the words like die or death or things like that. I've seen YouTubers like censor that out in the background, because there's certain things, obviously, you'll hear YouTubers say things like, well, the suspect unalived himself. Well, they say that because you can't say the other word, because you might get demonetized because of the auto censorship, or not censorship, the auto whatever the guideline system that they have. So it may detect certain words and things, and they're like, no, the advertisers aren't going to like this. But I've seen like YouTubers blur like words in the background that are like not controversial at all. And I'm like, damn, are they really blurring out the word dead? Like, you can't even have the word dead or something? It's crazy. But I thought that was interesting to comment on, because I'm like talking about we're talking about changing the name of the albie whore or something, or just calling it something else because YouTube doesn't like it for the video, but it also is like, I guess it's, that's for that. Whether you want to call it an albie whore or you want to call it an albie escort, you can name it whatever you want. As long as we recognize Richard Regan developed it. That's the most important thing. This is a big thing in fly tying that I think we're going to see in the future, is fly tyers that came up and influenced the generations after them, like a generation or two after them. Like, for instance, Bill Catherwood, all these guys. A lot of people they already don't know who they are. A lot of people aren't going to know who these people are or know who. So they're going to be like, oh, yeah, that's the Albi, whatever. And, but no, or they might know it by a different name because other people tie flies, and they'll like put their own little twist on it, call it something else, or they don't want to call it something like that because they're selling it and there's like copyright or there's like trademark stuff. So there's many different things. But I think what you're going to see is in the future is like a lot of lesser known fly tyers that came up with awesome flies that people just won't know about. You know what I mean? Yeah, Albie Lady of the Night. There you go. I still like Albie Lot Lizard, but so that's one of the reasons why. And I keep saying it, but it's gonna take a lot of time. But I'm gonna eventually, when I get the time, probably during the winter, is make videos on really important fly tyers that maybe not as many people know about. Because you might have known about these people in the 90s. Like, if you grew up like me and you were reading books, and, you would say, okay, who's this Bill Catherwood guy? And you're like, oh, my God. You found out he was spinning deer hair and tying, like, some of the most realistic-looking striper flies in the 50s before anyone even, like, he completely changed the approach of fly tying for stripers, in my opinion. He's one of the most influential saltwater fly tyers of all time, Bill Catherwood. So we're going to make a video on that. Most people don't even know who the guy is. And he did it in the 50s. A lot of like old school people and a lot of fly tyers like Bob Popovics, Chris Windrum, all these amazing fly tyers, they looked up to people like Bill Catherwood in the 50s. And so this and that. But so I think what you're going to see is younger generations are not going to know about these fly tyers. So I'd really like to make videos on this stuff. Because unless you really go into it, or you've been doing it for a while, you're not going to know these people. So there's probably many people that see this fly and they don't know who invented it, or they think someone else did or something like that. So I do think it's important to pay homage to the people that like paved the way before us in terms of fly fishing and fly tying, because it's very easy for those people to be forgotten, especially now that they're dead. So, oh yeah, no, Mark will be on that for sure. Which I need to edit those Mark Sadati tying videos. So I'm sure Mark understands. He knows that I tie for a living. I've been busy, but we have 2 videos that I filmed of Mark tying that I need to edit that will be on his YouTube channel. So, but it sucks. Mark is not very tech savvy, dude. I was like trying to, it's tough. It's tough. I totally feel for a lot of the older guys that didn't grow up going in, in computer class in elementary school like I did or something. And, just so it's like I was trying to explain. I'm like, dude, this is like, I wanted to teach him how to record on his phone and then just try and post it on YouTube and stuff. But there's a lot that goes into this sort of stuff, so But so if I have the opportunity sometimes, well, I'm sure I'll try and film some stuff with Mark, but it's not going to be a super regular thing because he lives so far away and I have to go pick him up, bring him here, film, then go back, drop him off, and then come back. It's like I have to drive there 4 times, or like, it's such a long trip. So, but we'll see. I definitely want to film some more stuff with him, but in the future. Hey, I mean, that's like a little mahi-mahi or something right there. It's kind of cool. You can't even see the white. Anyways, not too shabby. All right. Well, we whipped up some albie escorts, some albie lady of the night, some albie lot lizards. I still like lot lizard a lot more. That's just so funny to me. The albie lot lizard. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys, dude, I mean, they were fishing in like the 30s, 40s, as kids and stuff. So, we're losing a lot of these older fly tires, All right, let's see. So we got that from Craggerol. We got my albie picks. We got James. Sevens. Yeah, let's take a look at the Discord. We streamed last Friday, which was the 5th. And we always look at the Discord. So, yeah, here we go. Let's catch up. So this is from Sevens. Beautiful looking water. In Galveston. Galveston is Texas, right? It's not Alabama, right? That's got to be Galveston, Texas. It's got to be, if I'm not wrong. Excuse me, it's got to be. Kenny Abrams is one we got to do, for sure. So this is where I'm going to be reaching out. I'm going to be, and the main thing I want to do is I want to get other people from the community, like the industry, to talk about these people. So like when I make the video on Bill Catherwood, I want to like talk to Paul Dixon. I want to talk to Chris Windrum, Mark Sadati, all these amazing fly tyers and guides and fly fishermen that have been around way before me to get their opinions on these people. So 2-for-1 special here. Let's go. Clouser? That's a Clouser, right? Oh no, it's a Jiggy. Heyo! Hell yeah. Jiggy with the tied off the back. Not even proper dropper, and I love it. I like it. So finally, the first albie you've seen in a couple years. Which, I mean, look at these fucking fish, dude. Look at that. How do you not just, as a fly fisherman, if you fish for groupers, you're just looking at bait. But I mean, God, look at that, dude. If I ever like hit it big and I get a custom guitar built, I want false albacore inlays. Where I want like the mother of pearl inlays, but I want it to where it's like goes from green to white, and I want it to be like go to Gibson or someplace, or go to some luthier. Be like, dude, get me inlays that look like this. Like take a section of this albie and cut it out in Photoshop and get me inlays that look like that, because that is just some of the most beautiful iridescent colors. I love it. Feather Candy, by the way, check out YouTube for the tutorial. Yep, you gotta love the carbon fiber rod. Absolutely destroys my hand every time. It's only in the heat. And this is the other candy I tied. I tied 2 of the candies. Oh, one of these we tied on stream last Friday. Punch a hole in it, glue it, yeah. They were nice sized fish. These are nice sized fish. Almost, not huge, but I mean, there were some, I would say there were probably some fish that were close to 8 pounds I saw being caught. Look at that. Squimpish flies, saltwater edge. Oh, you can't see can we? No, it's my right leg. These are AC Fishing gave these to me. These are hand-me-down from a teenager. I get free shoes from my boss. My boss, that's a teenager, from when I was clamming with Aiden. We got Craggerol with a beautiful looking bass. Very nice. This is in Louisiana. Or no, South Carolina. South Carolina. Catfish holes. Very cool. Nice, dude. Sick. We got gin. Good. There's no photos of any butts. Wow, look at that rainbow. Huh? Look at that too. There's like, look at the mountains or the hills. It's a nice fish. Oh yeah. And those are wild native rainbows. Brown trout came from Europe. Rainbows come from the West Coast. And we got brookies on the East. So that's sick. I gotta remind myself sometimes because we don't have rainbows. I mean, they're all stocked. You know, it's not like a thing. So those are what? Cohos? I think, right? That's like the classic bear grabbing salmon, jumping out of the air, ripping the roe out of its belly. And they turn all red like that when they're... At some point, they just turn into zombies, right? Or the sockeye? Okay, gotcha. Oh, no, the coho are silver. Yeah, coho or silver. Yeah. That's a sockeye, yep. Cohos don't turn red like that, right? Is it just the sockeyes that turn red like that? Oh, wow, that's sick. Brown bear or grizzly? Are brown bears and grizzlies the same thing? I'm actually surprised I don't know the answer to this. I feel like I should. Because I feel like that term, I hear them say it loosely between the two. Grizzly. Now this is where you gotta watch out. Man, it's got a cub. That's crazy. That's so cool. A grizzly's much bigger. I mean, I guess we can ask Google. Grizzly or brown bear? Grizzlies and brown bears are the same species, Urus arctos, but refer to different populations based on the geography and diet. So that's why when we think of grizzlies, we think of the big ones. Brown bears typically refer to the coastal bears that thrive on fish like salmon, while grizzlies are a common name for smaller inland. Oh, brown bears typically refer to the larger ones. Now this is AI. All right, you can't rely on this shit because you'll literally get two different answers. Grizzlies are a subspecies of brown bears, genetically the same, but there's differences in diets, locations, and behavior. Okay. You got to be careful, dude. I watched Djibouti show. They literally did it. They Googled something. They got two different answers from the AIs. One after another. But both of them were also right and both wrong. So that's the issue. You got to be careful with this AI overview. I use it, but I use it sparingly. You know, I then go down. You'd probably be better off with some sort of government organization like this. All grizzlies are brown bears, but not all brown bears are grizzlies. Ah. The bears are brown bears. Grizzly and brown bears are the same species. Grizzlies are bears that are currently considered to be a separate subspecies due to morphological differences. Kodiak bears are also considered to be a different... Oh yeah, there's Kodiaks too. Like Kodiak... Is it Kodiak Island? Is that the place? Grizzlies are considered to be a subspecies. The differences between the grizzly and brown bear is fairly arbitrary. In North America, brown bears are generally considered to be to be those of the species that have access to coastal. So yeah. So brown bears are the sea ones, or the coastal, eating all the salmon, the berries, and all that you see and whatnot. Grizzlies are inland. They're probably eating caribou, berries, and God knows what else. You know, they're omnivores, essentially. Yeah, so the brown bears are eating, like, mussels and clams and shit. And which one's the bigger ones? Okay, so grizzlies are smaller. The grizzlies are the inland ones. The largest documented case, or some of the largest documented case, 900 pounds. For the brown bears in Katmai, which Katmai, is that Alaska? That sounds... Or is that St. Louis? This is Canada, I think. Is 1,000 pounds. So yeah, brown bears are bigger. I always thought grizzlies would be bigger. Interesting. Well, now the more you know, right? Yeah, Kodiaks are just another subspecies. It looks like. We going fishing for bears now? You need a hell of a weight rod. Nah, you need 11 weight, dude. You just ride that bitch down the river. Yeehaw! Now, Jin went over to Alaska. What's going on, Hayes? How you doing? Yo, you were at Katmai? There you go. So these are some of the larger bears. Whatever, the NPR we were just looking at. That must have been the National Park Resources or whatever for their wildlife justice system or whatever. I don't know. I can't even. Law enforcement is what I'm thinking. So that was Alaska. That was talking about these bears. Very cool. That's funny that you were in that same spot. Oh yeah, these pictures do not do it justice. These bears are big. These are big bears. And when they're standing up on their 2 feet, they're big. You want a real National Wildlife Refuge? Yes, it was the National Parks Rangers or something. NPR probably. You want to see a crazy video? Look up. I wonder if we can actually just look it up. I'll show you guys real quick. It's very short, so let me look. Hold on. YouTube. This guy's a traditional bow hunter. He has a TV. Or who am I thinking of? Fred Eichler. Fred Eichler. Bear charge. Oh my god. I want to see the... Yeah. Dude, Fred Eichler is so cool. He hunts with traditional bows and stuff. But they're going on a moose hunt or something. They're going down the river. And wait till you see this. This is fucking crazy, dude. Yeah, I don't want to show you. I don't want to, like... What I'll do is I'll put a link for you guys if you want to watch it. But this Fred Eichler. Look at all these traditional bows, baby. So look at this. Oh, look, there's some cubs, right? Holy... Dude. So they didn't shoot the bear, by the way. They shot at the water or whatever, but that bear literally got about 5 feet, like 10 feet away from the boat. So he shot up in the air and luckily scared the bear. But he came around the corner. There's 3 cubs sitting on the bank. And, I mean, could you imagine being the camera guy? How did the camera guy even, like, hold the camera? That was crazy. That was some of the cool, like, craziest bear footage. And he talks about it. He, like, shoots in the water, I think, or the air. And luckily, he had a Magnum or his rifle. He shot like once, and the bear turned and went back to the cubs. But he was like, he didn't want to shoot it, of course, because it's got its cubs. But he was like, thank God that worked, because there's a chance that doesn't work. There's definitely like a good percentage to where that doesn't work, and the bear will just attack you because it sees that it views you as a threat to its cubs, right? Meanwhile, they're on a raft, like, you know, going down this tiny little creek, so there's not really much they could do. So, but that's crazy. Yeah. My dad's friend got attacked by a grizzly bear. Oh my god. So did he play dead? It bit his head and he lived. That's what they say, right? You're supposed to play dead with a brown bear or grizzly. You're supposed to fight back against a black bear. At least that's what I was always, you know, you always are told, you know, growing up, and you see that, you read that in books. So how did he freaking survive that? I gotta hear a little bit more about that. That's crazy. There's many people where they don't survive. I don't know if you know Mr. Ballin. He's a pretty popular YouTube channel. He tells like crazy stories and stuff. And he's got one of this, and these couple, they're taking photos of these bears in a national park, and the dude just keeps getting closer and closer and closer to this bear and these cubs, and you could see the photos. They have the photos. They developed it after, but he ended up dying. The bear ended up mauling him to death. He just kept getting closer and closer, and you see the photos. The bear's getting close. He's getting closer. He keeps taking photos, so you could see the photos getting closer and closer and closer. And I mean, it's just like, dude, you can't. Like, that stuff's so crazy. Bear bit him. He got one more round into it, and it ran off. So if he didn't have a gun, he would have been. Yeah, that's a big thing, dude. You got to respect Mother Nature. Like, it's cool when we watch like a video of them, but if you imagine seeing that thing in person charging you, that's a whole nother, like, that is a whole nother, you gain a whole nother respect for those animals when you see them in person like that. You know what I mean? That is wild. So I want to show you that video. Look, you can look here. I'll post it in the chat is what I'll do. Hold on. I'll post it in, oh, I got to go on this and get it. Hold on. So, anyways, thank you for sharing that, Jin. I'm glad you had an awesome trip to Alaska. I was like, wait, why are we talking about grizzly bears charging people? Most of the time, you're all right. It's in situations where, you know, you come around a corner and there's cubs, and the mama bear's like, oh, no, I don't like that. That's why you always got to keep your distance and respect Mother Nature. Here, I'm going to share this so you guys can check it out. If you're into hunting, too, check out Fred Eichler, man. He helped motivate me to traditional bow hunt because my landlord told me you couldn't shoot a deer with a recurve. And I'm like, well, this guy does it. Yeah, it's a crazy video. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. I didn't plan on stream for 2 hours, but, you know, in the end, it went by pretty quick, so what do you call it? I gotta freaking reorganize my room, though. So, that's what I'm gonna get to. I hope you guys have an awesome weekend. Get out there and do some fishing if you can. It's albie season. I'm gonna be probably either going Sunday, hopefully. If not, I got my green key. I'm gonna try and go, like, almost every day during the week. I'm gonna try and get as much footage as I can, but, you know, we'll see. There's a Dane who's been hunting with the recurves. Yeah, there's some people on YouTube. There's this dude in Australia, Captain Bowman is his name. He was doing, he was a pretty big recurve channel that I watch, and lawn bows. There was some dudes in Europe that I was watching that hunt with recurves, and there's a lot of guys in the U.S., obviously. There's, like, traditional bow hunting clubs out here and stuff, but must have shoulders like a bull. Yep. Well, 70-pound recurve will do it. You really want to look up someone cool in history? Howard Hill. Howard Hill probably shot more animals with a recurve than any other. And I'm not really a fan of that, where they were just shooting lions and stuff, but I like eating animals, but it was back in the 20s. But he was also like a performance shooter, and he hunted with the longbow, 110-pound longbow. He's one of the most accomplished archers that ever lived. Was Howard Hill. So check out Howard Hill. I actually have a Howard Hill style longbow that I had custom built. So check him out. That's kind of, in my opinion, probably like one of the greatest traditional bow hunters of all time, potentially traditional archers or just archers. But I mean, who knows who lived during the Ottoman and the Mongol horseback and in Asia with bows. I'm sure there were some legends back then, you know what I mean, with a bow that we don't know about. So, Brian B2 Jensen. Yeah. Well, meanwhile, I'm not necessarily a fan of shooting rhinos and stuff. I get it from rhinos and elephants. I'm not necessarily a fan of and things, but I understand certain hunting in Africa pays for a lot of conservation. But I don't know. That's a whole other thing. But it's impressive nonetheless if you can draw back a 100-pound bow, let alone. I've tried. It's not easy. So, anyways, I like hunting deer. A couple of back straps, nice and tasty. But thank you so much for hanging out, guys. Paul Bridgers, have a great weekend. Hayes, thanks for stopping by, dude. I hope you've been doing well. Jin, I'm glad you had a good Alaska thing. Oh yeah, I know it's not poaching or anything. It's always it's sanctioned. If you're going and doing that stuff, you're paying, and you're probably paying so much money that it's literally supporting the entire game reserve, and it's supporting like the entire villages around. So they also give the meat away. So I learned a lot about it. When you get into hunting, you actually learn, but not necessarily that I would never want to go do that. But you know, it's all good. You learn about it. Just bought a short 6.8 meter, 16 grain shooting head. Oh, nice. There you go. Hell yeah, dude. All right. Well, thanks, chat. You guys have an awesome weekend. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And there'll be a new video, probably a fly time video coming out Sunday. And we got some albie videos in the works. So keep your heads open for that, or keep your eyes open for that. So, all right. We'll see you. Have a nice night, chat. Later.